Love is beautiful, but let's be real, it ain't always easy. We've been through the storms, the highs, the lows, and everything in between.
But through it all, we made a choice again and again. We chose love, we chose commitment, we chose us.
Because marriage isn't just about saying I do, it's about choosing to stay.
Welcome to We Chose Us, because love is worth the fight. Welcome, everybody. We are back with another dope, amazing episode for We Chose Us. It's me, Rob.
And Kris.
And we're happy y'all are here. Real quick, don't forget, email us, show@wechoseus.com. Join the Facebook community as well. Drop some information in there. Y'all need to start talking in there too, because y'all ain't saying nothing. Y'all, I don't know if y'all waiting on us to say something or what, but no, probably. I want y'all to start saying something too, because we want to just be able to be a part of the community. We're not just going to be the leaders. We want to be a part of it, right? So definitely drop your information. Join us there as well. And that's it. Like that's how you can connect with us. Also be on the lookout for the audio as well for Apple podcasts and for Spotify and all of those. We're going to get that released to you all as well, so you can have other ways to be able to engage with us here at
Ride with us in your car.
Yeah, you can ride with us in the car. You know what I'm saying? Just keep trying to watch on your phone. I hope y'all ain't nobody trying to do that anyway. But anyway, so we're excited about today's episode. One of the reasons why we're excited about this episode is we realize people have never heard about us and how we got started. When we jumped and started talking about the podcast, we were talking about like from marriage on.
Yeah.
But we never talked about what happened before the marriage and how we kind of got to this place as well. So we need a origin story. Like Marvel, like Wolverine origin story, right? We need to figure out like the McNairs, like what is our origin story and how we begin, how we even were attracted to each other as well. Because even to another point, like we even got a question in our community where somebody had asked, like, how do you know you found the one?
Yep.
And so even uncovering that, like, how did we realize that we were each other's person?
Ooh.
You know, so how did we get to that point? And is there really a set person for somebody as well?
Is there the one?
Is there the one? So we're going to tackle that. And so I actually want to lean this over to you because there are conflicting stories.
There is. Are you sure you want to put this in my lap first?
Met. I mean, I can always rebuttal.
Oh, no. Let me rebuttal. You start.
So there are conflicting stories about how this whole thing kicked off, and since you want me to go first, I guess.
Yeah, let's hear your story. I love it.
All right, so 2011, March 2011, we,
And you remember the date and everything.
Yeah, I remember it was March. Well, it was a little bit before that because there was an initial meeting. There was a Bible school meeting that we had. There was an introduction to Bible school where our pastor was starting. Look how you put your arm up like you're trying
intense.
to.
I'm intense. I mean, this is. I'm listening intently.
You're listening to. Okay, so our pastor had put up, that he was starting a Bible college, and so that's when I heard the call and I was like, you know what? Part of the reason why I was a part of the ministry anyway is because I actually had a dream that I was in Bible college at World Changers. So that's kind of like how it started. So this was, to me, was a fulfillment of the dream. So I went to the meeting, and about a month or so later, we hit Bible college, right? And there was a lot of people in the class and all those types of things. And I remember I was sitting in one of the classes that we were in the gym at the church. And I remember seeing this fine, bad Mama Gemma.
Not Mama Gemma.
Come through and come into the gym. And it was something that was different about her. I couldn't put my finger on it. It was something, I like to say the way she walked looked like she was gliding in heels. But she was very interesting to me, and originally I was like, okay, yeah, she's pretty. But this was my first time really being in a classroom or a school setting, not trying to find out who all the bad chicks was in class. Because college before, high school, middle school, you always want to see who you in the class with. You know what I'm saying? Who you going to try to holler at or whatever. But this was really my whole deal of like, this is my time, me and God being able to focus on my relationship with God and growing and stuff like that. So she was interested in me, but it wasn't like I was really interested in you back for a while. You were interesting, but I wasn't pursuing or anything like that.
You
and then hold on, time out.
Wait a minute.
Can I get?
I was interesting, but you wasn't interested.
Yes.
The lies you telling.
This is day one, fam. This is the beginning.
Nah.
This is not
okay.
This is the very first class that I seen you in. So I'm not finna be like, oh man.
No, I remember you tried to talk to me. You sitting next to me, with your little Tim boots on.
Hold on, time out. Is you finna let me?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Tell the story. You gotta have your time to tell your whole thing. You know what I'm saying?
Carry on,
Shout man, tripping. So, anyway, man. So, we went through a process of we were changing classes and stuff like that, and I would see you more and more, and I'm trying to remember the way it actually happened, but yeah, we ended up being like in the same vicinity because we knew like Chizette was in there, and then Charmone was in there, and we kind of like started kind of sitting around the same people as we started getting these classes, and so we were sitting around the same folks, and I don't remember if it was. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, if you were going to see the Screw Tape letters first, or whether I was starting the study group first.
You're starting the study group.
Okay, so I was starting a study group because I am one who, like, we were having all these exams, all these quizzes and stuff like that, so I wanted to start a study group for all of us to jump in this study group, to download the app, and throughout the day, put a bunch of information in there about, the classes and studying for these exams and stuff like that.
You still holding tight to that story?
Yeah, I'm holding tight to that story. Okay. So I invited folks in.
You did.
The only person that joined.
But the verdict is still out. Did you invite other people in?
I did invite other people in.
Because how was it only just me joining the group? And I'm thinking it's a study group. A study group.
Yes, a study group. And I invited other folks.
I still think you lying, but you holding strong though.
And she was the only one that joined. And I was like, well, dang, she the only one that joined. And so that's how it did start though, because I wasn't talking about trying to holler at you or nothing like that. But that's how it started, right? It was started, the quote unquote study group. Nobody else was saying nothing. Nobody else was joining. So it was just me and her in the group. And then later on, somehow or another, we started having conversations about her going to see the Screw Tape letters by C.S. Lewis.
Because I love English.
Because she loved, that's kind of what she does now. And so we were sitting in the cafe at the church, and you was telling me about the stuff, and I was like, oh, cool. I want to go too, or something like that.
No.
Go ahead, tell me what.
You did not tell me you wanted to go. You just showed up.
No. I didn't go there though. Remember, I was trying to meet you, but I had something else to do.
Yeah, you had texted me while I was there, and I'm like, in my mind, like, I ain't invite you in the first place.
Did you even go? I
did. I was there. And you had sent me a text or something like, oh, I was trying to make it or come or something like that. And I was like, I ain't invite you? Like... hold up, I didn't invite you. I might have said this is where I was going, but you were trying to sneak up and show up on me, like pull up.
I mean, if I say, oh, cool, I'll meet you there.
You didn't say I'll meet you there. You did not say that. I'm telling you, it was borderline creepy because you didn't say I'll meet you there.
Just be like, I ain't never been that type of person.
No, I'm telling you, you were that. Well, today I'm telling you, that type of person. You did not tell me you was coming.
Pull up on you.
You didn't tell me you was coming.
Okay.
Because I remember sitting in there and got the text from you, and I remember in my mind I was like, I ain't invite you, so I don't care if you make it or not. I didn't ask you to come. I did. So I mean, go ahead with your story though. But I'm gonna correct that one. I didn't invite
Anyhow.
you, and you didn't tell me you were coming. You just pulled up, or rather, I didn't see you. So I don't know if you pulled up or you were acting like you were pulling up.
I didn't
but
pull
either
up.
way, I didn't invite you.
I didn't pull up. I didn't come. I didn't pull up. And I apologize for not coming because I wasn't able to meet her.
But I didn't invite you.
See what I'm saying? How folks just boy. So the origin story is all confusing, right?
Is it confusing?
It's different sides of the origin story. It's what's the movie where somebody tell a story and then that wasn't it, so you got to hear. Well, didn't the TLC? Didn't they do that? Where there was like the story, the TLC story, and then they was like, no, that wasn't the real story, and then they made another movie which was the real story. That's what it feel like.
I'm telling a real story.
But I feel like I got a real story. You got a lifetime story.
Carry on. Carry on. Go ahead.
You got the lifetime story where they got the geo trackers. Anyway.
We gotta do it. Well, go ahead.
Pebbles gave one of them geo trackers.
I'm just, go ahead.
So
the
anyway,
point is, you weren't
let me get on
invited
track.
and you tried to show up, but it's okay.
Anyway, I told her I wasn't coming.
But I was interesting.
And you were interested.
But you were not interested.
But then one of the things that also had frustrated me though is that I had asked for her phone number and she wouldn't give me her phone number.
So that I had to tell y'all.
But it was just
that you just tried to show up.
I had never
we had a group
not
chat.
Gotten the phone number
We
before
had a group
ever
chat.
in life.
What you need my number for?
Like I mean, maybe I just want to communicate with you. And then I was like, dang, I can't even get your phone number? Like, this is weird. So fast forward. We were talking again, and finally I ended up getting her phone number. And we were talking, chatting back and forth. It was during the championships. It was not even the championships yet. It was Cleveland and Boston.
Mm-hmm.
And you told me that Boston was your favorite team, blah, blah, blah. So we kind of like had just jumped on that whole conversation or whatever. And that was really about it.
Well, then, no, because we went on. What made you more interesting was finding out that you was from Decatur. We liked a lot of the same music. We were able to kind of connect. You had went to Redan. I went to Southwest DeKalb. We knew like kind of
Some of the same people.
Yeah. And so that's where I feel I started connecting with you. Because at first I thought you was a lame. You know what I mean? And so... Because it was just, I mean, you tried to pull up on me and it was like, what is coming from? And
Shouty.
That's why I don't want to give you my number in the first place. I didn't. I did not want you to have my number. But then when we started talking, I was like, okay, he's definitely interesting, you know, and we started connecting on a different level.
Yeah, we started connecting on a different level. She thought I was lame. She claimed I used to wear Skechers. But it was.
Do you want to tell that story?
It was. Y'all remember?
You had Skechers with ankle socks on.
Them was not Skechers. Them was some Steve Maddens that everybody used to wear. We used to go to the club. We used to always wear them button downs with the cuffs that you would flip inside out that had the designs on them.
What
right?
club you went to?
What you mean? That was it back then? You used to wear the button downs. They used to flip the cuffs, and the cuffs would have the designs on them, and you'll have your jeans, and then you would have the Steve Madden shoes.
What club was this? The Boys and Girls Club? Wait a minute.
Shawty, please.
Wait, what?
Listen.
What club?
You don't remember that?
No, not in any clubs I went to. Not in the Atrium, not a Club Flavor, the Boys and Girls Club, yeah. One, two, Jack and Jill. So that's about up the alley,
all them
right?
stuff. That's what it was. That's what we used to wear.
But regardless,
112 and all that.
Okay, so let's say that. All right. But this was years later. You still had on them Skechers, Steve Maddens with them ankle socks on.
I was looking fly.
You had on denim shorts.
I was looking
and
fly.
your ankle socks came up. Like, they weren't even ankle socks. They were semi-ankle. I don't know, because they came above your ankles. And the Steve Maddens were brown. Bro, it was the brown contrast with the denim shorts. And you thought you were fly. I was like...
Shawty. Man make the clothes don't make man.
But here's the thing though. So, and you can finish your story after this, but I got to give you your credit back, because when we went on our first date, he had on his nice Air Force One, some jeans, and his polo. So, you know.
That's what I'm saying. That's what she liked. She liked
At first, it was like,
she liked the polo down. You want me to polo down? I sure did. I bought a
That-
crispy white polo. I went
He
straight to
did.
the store, bought a crispy
He
white
did.
polo and the Air Force Ones just for us to meet up at
I mean, now I did think you
Poppy's.
was stuck in, Redan days with the polo and the Air Force One, but
I
it was
mean,
still,
what
it was better than the Skechers and,
what
and
other-
the ankle socks.
Man, listen.
When you came in, I thought you was about to yeet. Like, I don't know what's going on.
Listen, man, listen. So that's the origin story of how we started talking and getting to know each other back then in Bible school.
Mm-hmm.
And we went through Bible school, went through some tragedies.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Very close friend of
Mainly you.
mine ended up passing in May.
Mm-hmm.
No.
This was right after we really started
She ended
talking
up
more.
passing in June.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She ended up passing in June. Matter of fact, it was June 20th. That's when we started talking more and more and all that. Because our first long phone conversation, I remember our first long phone conversation, we were talking on the phone for hours.
Mm-hmm.
And it was late. It was like 1, 2 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about some of everything, music. And we was really vibing, playing music back and forth
Mm-hmm.
on the, on the TV, the radio and stuff like that. And I got a phone call.
Yep.
That she had passed away in a car accident by her sister, and it was like 2 a.m. And I remember getting out of bed, and I was like, I got to call you back. My friend just died, blah, blah, blah. And I went over there, and that sent my world spiraling for a while. And I remember you were the only person that continuously checked on me every day. And then when posts came across Facebook, you would say, hey, you might not want to look at Facebook because somebody posted a picture of the car accident online and you was there. And it wasn't even at that point, again, I think I found you interesting and we were just conversing and stuff like that, but dating wasn't even on the table. This was literally just first phone conversation and that's it. And everything shifted to where, like, when you lose somebody that you're close to in your life, nothing else really matters. You're not thinking about going out, dating nobody or nothing like that. You're just trying to figure out what's real, because we came in a space of being believers, heavy believers. And some of the weights that I was carrying was, I remember her mom had asked me to pray, had come over to the house and pray before she went out of the country.
Yeah.
And so I believed, like, when I pray, everything is straight, everything is good. And I remember when I got the call and questioning God, like, how? Because how is this person who I knew had a relationship with him? How is this person who I knew wasn't out there wilding out doing anything? How is this person going to go all the way to a different country and die in a car accident?
Yeah.
So I was in my whole space like that. And you were the only person that called me and checked on me for those 2 weeks leading up to the situation that you had.
Yep. And I had a tragedy in the family the same time. So then you became, I think we kind of, like, dating was never on the table at that point.
Right.
It was just kind of like we had both encountered something that was almost life altering, and we just had to kind of hold each other up, as friends. And so we became more friends than anything.
Deep friends, yeah.
Like, there was really no, like, major just attraction on the scale of, oh, I want this to be my boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife. Wasn't even thinking about all that stuff. It was just some crazy stuff that happened that, like, quickly. And we just, started building each other up. And I think that's when I further saw you as someone who has the heart of God, because even though you were going through what you were going through, you were there also helping me, process what had happened in my family as well. So,
yeah. And I remember even in the very beginning, like when all of this happened, I couldn't stay in I had that townhome at the time. I couldn't stay in my townhome by myself. So I would go to my parents' house for several nights. And then I would try to stay at my townhome, and you would actually come over and you would stay with me, and nothing would happen, but you would stay with me. And I remember we would
be on the
pray.
couch.
We'd be on the couch, and I would remember we would pray and fall asleep, and you would just be there because, seeing someone in the corner of your eye that is
And
no
how she
longer,
passed.
and how she passed too.
Yeah.
Because I remember
The level.
because she came to World Changers. She went to World Changers. So I remember, seeing her at World Changers, her and her mom coming in and all these types of different things. So I remember, when you're walking down the street, and this is what happens when you lose somebody close to you, you see them in the corner of your eye, but they're not there. That's not them, And so I remember trying to go to sleep in my townhome, and even though she had never been there, I remember seeing shadows and glimpses, and it was just really, really weird for me. So when you had offered to come by and spend time with me, that was in a time where, like, I had questioned everything about God. I had ever questioned everything because I had never lost anybody close to me before. There was so many different questions.
Because you all had like a men's prayer group, and you had even stopped with that.
Yeah.
Because you were in a space of just uncertainty. Like,
Yeah.
How can I trust God after, I prayed and you felt like God didn't protect?
Yeah, I felt like God didn't protect. It was earth shattering for me because everything that I thought about God and my belief in who God was, and in the middle of a Bible school and dealing with all of these different things, this actually happened.
Yeah.
And it changed a lot in me because a lot of people don't know. Like, I was extremely legalistic when it came to the Bible. I was someone who, not only did I know my scriptures backwards and forwards, being able to apply, being able to explain, being able to do all of these different things because I had it right.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
And don'ts. And you were, but even talking about celibacy, I don't know if you want to share how long you were celibate.
12 years.
Yeah.
12 years of celibacy.
You were 100% like God, like by the book, no sin.
Yeah, it was 100%. So that's why when people try to come at me and try to say certain things, I'm like, listen, all of these new things, these new topics, these people that they want to come at me or come at you or whatever about certain things, about our journey, right? Or about why we're so heavily involved in grace and what grace is because when I'm listening and I'm talking to people, I say, oh, I done been there. I know the end of that movie, and I bought the T-shirt. You know what I'm saying? And it has not changed me. And here's what's going to end up happening. After a amount of time, you're going to get to that realization, and you're going to be exactly where I am now. And you're going to realize, you look back all these years and realize you had it wrong. You can't be perfect in legalism when it comes to the word. You can't be perfect in not ever sin again. You can't be perfect in a lot of these different things. It is absolutely impossible. That's why we have a savior.
Yeah.
Because Jesus is the one that took it on. And for us to feel like we have to maintain something that Jesus has actually maintained, that's where a lot of people fall. And so for me, the biggest tragedy, yes, it was losing a close friend of mine, but my world fell apart because I was realizing this legalistic way of thinking, it wasn't working.
But you don't control God.
I don't control
what he
God.
does.
And no matter how good, how strong, how faithful, I was saying things like I didn't pray hard enough, I didn't fast hard enough, there were so many different things that I did not do, that I felt I did not do, and it was weighing on me, and I was taking all of that on myself. And the only person, again, and I'm so thankful, is you were always there. You didn't get tired of my complaints. You didn't get tired of my frustration. And even in the places where I didn't even want to deal with you, not from a standpoint of me not liking you, I didn't want to deal with nobody because everything felt, it's like pouring salt on a wound, like felt raw. And I felt like I needed to fight to stay by myself, but that was actually going into deeper depression as well. And so that's where I was. And so I'm thankful for you. And I know I've shared this with you before because before there was any Rob and Kris and dating or anything like that, I saw a friend.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I had a friend.
Mm-hmm.
And so I ended up going to therapy
Mm-hmm.
Almost 2 years after the accident.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I remember coming out of therapy, and I ran into a colleague at church that I worked the next day, and he gave me this tape, and it talked about relationships or something like that. And I didn't even listen to it. Was actually an audio tape. It's so funny. I didn't even listen to the audio tape. I looked at the title, and immediately it was like scales were removed from my eyes, and it was like, she's been there the whole time. That's your person. And from that point, that's when I realized, I was like, man, all this fun that we started, because we started going places together,
Right.
and and we were back and forth, because I didn't want to be in a relationship, but I
Yeah,
did want to
we
be in a
never established
relationship.
an
We never
actual
established
relationship.
anything. Yeah.
But I remember later you had told me it was fear of losing someone close to you. So you never wanted to put the title on it or call it as such, because you had a fear of if you had lost me, And I remember you like kind of exposing that, but it was, I think the same for me is having that solid friendship before even defining a relationship, because the relationship was never defined.
Right.
Like before marriage, there was never any, oh snap, let me put on my cute clothes, I'm about to go on a date. Like it was none of that. But that for me was all I was used to, was dating and going out and things like that. So this was different for me. And I remember like kind of questioning God, like, no, this is my person, because I'm used to being wined and dined and, you know what I mean, actually bringing the flowers and really being kind of, I guess what you would call courtship is what they would call it, and that's what I was used to. And so this was like my friend. So at the same time, I would still go on dates, you know what I mean? So I wasn't like 100% solely like, oh, in a committed relationship with you. It was like, I still gotta see who out there for me, and so I would still go on dates and things like that. And, for me, it was when God started revealing to me what my past relationships, kind of how they looked. And it was the opposite of what I was encountering with you. Even though we didn't define who we were, you were the most authentic person in my life. You didn't hide anything from me. You were very honest and kind of forward, upfront and forward with me. If you didn't want a title, you would be like, yeah, I don't want a title. I can't define that, because I just feel like, and I remember telling you, like, I feel like I'm out here in a boat, just, we in the boat together, and you just like, wherever we end up. And I was like, I ain't gonna be in this boat for long. Like, you need to put some directions on this thing, but that was because that's what I was used to. And I didn't move by faith when it came to relationships. It was kind of the norm of what it's supposed to look like. This is what a relationship is supposed to look like. This is how you define it. And that's what I was used to. So I was looking for my person from a perspective of what people kind of said, about a relationship and how you kind of find the one, right? What are the standards? What are the non-negotiables? What's that process? What does it look like? And I was confined to that. And so it was like weird to me, like, what in the world? Because my past relationships were more about lies, and I've dated guys, preachers, or people who have been in the church, and child, it was a lot. It was a lot of lying. It was a lot of mask being worn. It was a lot of heaviness, and it just did not work. But when I met you, you were literally, to me, a reflection of what a true man of God was. You wasn't just churched. And that's what I was used to, were men who were church. And I remember going to God questioning, like, how does be a man of God and they treat me like that? And you get blindsided, because it's like, you think like, okay, well, it's a man of God or it's a prophet and they know God. And, so maybe I need to be more forgiving and open with some of the bad behavior or the treatment. And that's what you get used to the point that when you see a true, authentic man of God, you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. It was just kind of like, I'm not quite sure what this is, but you were very real when it came to your relationship with God. And that's what I loved about you. And it was like, when you prayed, you prayed. When you would, read your word, it wasn't just, oh, I'm over here reading my Bible. No, like you were really studying the word of God. You really pursued God. And I had not seen that before. And I had dated pastors, I dated prophets, and I've dated some that wasn't in church. I've dated quite a few different realm of men, but when it came to you, it was the authenticity that literally blew my mind. And whether I was really attracted to you or not, it was more of like your spirit that kept me there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that's what caused me to kind of keep moving forward with you as my friend, because you were really the only solid one in my life. I think at the time we met, I was actually going through kind of like a semi-abusive relationship with someone. And I openly shared that with you, which the only other person who knew about that was my sister. Mm-hmm. And I openly shared that with you, that this is what I'm going through. Like, I would show you messages. Like, I invited you into the abuse that I was encountering. And what blew my mind as like my friend was when you was like, well, that nigga, like,
Decatur Rob showed up then.
It did.
Decatur
And
Rob
it was
came
like,
up saying,
dang.
Hold on, wait, what? He
Yeah.
said, what?
Mm-hmm.
And it was very, very, when you started sharing that with me, because I know you and I know the person you are, so sweet, so amazing, so kind. Like, either you were just not this person, or this dude is really taking advantage of you. And I remember having those conversations with you and being to the point where he was verbally threatening you using the word. And that's where he messed up, because I know the word too. You feel me? So he was trying to use the word against you, and I said, hold up. That ain't it. Now, not to say that you didn't know the word, because I know you did, but when somebody's in a specific place, it's not about what they know, it's about the illumination that you can bring from a different perspective.
The manipulation.
Yeah, because he was manipulating that. And I remember he was saying that you were gonna lose this, and you were gonna go through that, and
if I walked away,
and he was
I was
a
gonna
prophet.
die.
You were gonna die, and he was a prophet, and all this stuff. And I said, well, let me ask you something, because the word says, people always go onto this, do my prophet no harm, right? That whole scripture about do my prophet no harm. And I said, well, let me ask you something. If he a prophet of God and I'm a prophet of God, then wouldn't that cancel out, if anything? And I remember saying that, because he was saying that you can't do certain things to him and stuff like that. So I was doubling down for you. He might, you might not say nothing, but I'll be that one to be like, hey, look here, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll take you out in the street. I don't care who you think you is.
Right.
I'll take you out in the street. You know what I'm saying? Because you're not going to put no scripture over me and put no fear in my life, because I know the word and I've been spent time in this thing.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And so I definitely remember that. And I think the difficulty, again, like you said, I did not want to lose anybody close to me.
Yeah.
And this was anybody, because she and I weren't dating, but this was, I had my box of friends that we talk about to this day that you said I didn't introduce you to, and the reason why is because I was in a very fragile state.
Y'all,
I know.
Pause. He had a whole group of friends. And this is like, I'm looking at him like, man, I'm like he just said, like we just shared, I'm pouring intimate stuff into you. Like, I'm going through this relationship. This is what's happening. I got to get out, yada, 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 open it up. But he had this whole box of friends, and they bringing their girls around and all this other stuff. And granted, we weren't boyfriend and girlfriend, but I was like, at that time, I think we considered each other like the closest to one another. And sometimes they would be like, it wasn't even girlfriends and boyfriends. It would just be like,
it was just guys and girls hanging out.
Guys and girls hanging out. And I'd be like, you never will introduce me to your friends. And he'll be like, nah.
Nah,
Never.
And I never wanted to. And main reason why I never wanted to was I never wanted that to cross over because I knew there was an interest in there. And there's always an awkwardness when there's a girl there, a girl that's interested, and she's there because she's interested or they're dating, but everybody else is there because we're just friends. You know what I'm saying? And so now there's the space of her coming in and her developing a relationship. And what if things don't work out? And then if things don't work out, then, you know, who's going to leave the friend group and all that? Because I had seen that a whole lot of times before as well. Because we was just a group of friends that just really liked hanging out and doing things. But me pulling you in, it would have been like me and you, and then because we even had another male friend in the group that did start bringing his girlfriend and his wife in, and things just started to kind of get weird. And it was just like, man, this is supposed to be like the friend group. Like we supposed to be just, you know, this is our place where we could just be ourselves and be cool. But also it was, again, I had to restructure. I needed to have a foundation or a group of people that I could just not feel like I was in a relationship with anybody. I just needed people around because I was just in this place. And even though we were just friends, there was definitely some interest there. And I didn't even want to convolute that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I think that was and it was kind of like, wait, hold up. I'm fly. Like, it does you a disservice to not invite me into your friend group. Like, what do you think this is? I was feeling some kind of way. But after the fact, I realized that leading up to us, like, being engaged, and I'll let you tell that story. But as the time grew, I realized that my choice of the one was not seeking the one, right? Because I've always felt like there's not really the one. Right. And this is why. Because I feel like if you make a mistake and you don't marry the one, did you throw somebody else's the one off? Right. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because a lot of times we look at it from a different perspective. We think of it like, oh, that's my person. That's who God specifically sent that person to me. But I feel like the one is the one that you see who connects with you, who you can pray with, who is faith-filled with you, who has a character that you know, like, that connects with yours, one that you see yourself growing with, and one that you don't mind choosing on a daily basis. Somebody actually asked this question in the group, like, how do you know it's the one? And I saw Jason, you know, responded. He's been married for how many years? 24 years. Yeah. And he was like, it's one that you continue to choose every day, because it's never just, oh, I married the one, that's it, we good, happy ever after, like, ride off into the sunset. Yeah. No, I choose this one over and over and over again, each and every day? Can we pray with each other? Can we love one another? Can we continue to build? Even if we don't like each other, can we create a space of wholeness again with one another? Can we, like, these are questions we don't ask when we're dating. This, you know, like I say, the way that I was looking for a spouse or really just dating, those weren't factors. It was just kind of like how you look, how you dress, I did say, how's his relationship with God? And, you know, like, I would ask certain questions, but I did not put myself in a position as a wife, as their spouse. Can I see them raising kids with me? Can I see them growing with me? Can I see us literally praying intimately about challenges and situations together? Not, oh, can he pray? If he can pray, then that must be for me. No, like, how can we work this thing out together? How can we live together? How can we grow together? And that's something I never thought about. Like, how can we steward our finances together? Like, it was so many things that I never considered when it came to marrying. But I will say, with you, I almost missed it because I never looked at you as like, oh, the one, like, you're going to be my husband. You know what I mean? It was more of like, I don't know if we really rock together the same way. Like, we different people, but based off of how we were as friends, that's what I wasn't seeing. As friends, it was all of those things together. As friends, that's who we were, praying together. Our characters were connected. Like, we had the same vision. We, like a lot of the things measured, kind of the desires of my heart. And matter of fact, the desires I didn't even know were desires, because that's not what I was used to. And so in building that friendship, it was like things that I think would not have been revealed if we immediately had started dating.
Yeah.
I don't think they would have been. I think you would have gone through the things that you went through. And I feel like sometimes relationships put automatic obligations on one another. And I don't think I would have been there as much as I should have, or you would have been there as much as you should have with me, because it would have been like, oh, that's my girlfriend, and, oh, that's my boyfriend, and I don't really know, about the boundaries that we need to establish or say. I don't think it would have been as authentic as it was for us, but that's our journey.
Yeah, and I think it was easy for us to establish boundaries because we were friends. Mm-hmm. It was easy for us to not have sex before marriage because we were just legit friends, and we enjoyed each other's company all the time. And because I even say this before, I say this sometimes when I be like, you're not as affectionate, right? Because as friends, we were affectionate friends. We were always laughing and he and ha and hugging on each other and all this type of stuff. And so I remember one time I came over your house, we were watching, I think it was either one of the Fast and the Furious out of the 100 of them that they got. And we were watching it, and you just came and you just laid on top of me. I didn't have no problem with it. You didn't necessarily lay on top of me. You were kind of like
my head on
you were kind of like I was laying on the couch watching TV, and you came and kind of squeezed in between the crack, and you laid your head on my chest, and you fell asleep. And I was like, man, this is a good feeling, because it was nothing there. It was just, and then the fact that you peacefully had fallen asleep, and I just finished watching the movie, and then it was just time to get up and go, and I remember that feeling like, man, this felt so good. And so going to when I proposed, after I had that illumination part, right, where God was like, yeah, look back, think of all the stuff you have been through and all the stuff she was there and how amazing she was and all those different things. I put it into gear. And when I went to Sandra first, and I told Sandra and I told some others, and everybody was like amazing. Nobody was shocked. They were ready because they could see what we couldn't see. And I told Sandra, and I got together 70-something people.
You did.
Right. And I said, and there was this place, it was called Aja at the time. It's called Little Alley Steakhouse right now, but it was called Aja at the time. And I told everybody to come. I'm going to propose, and I'm going to do a propose engagement party. And I asked everybody to go at the very top, right? So I had gone into Aja. I told the people what was going on, blah, blah, blah. They were like, all right, cool. So I had called you, and I said, hey, I want to take you out on a date for the first time.
Yep.
A real date, because we had never gone on a real date. We kicked it a bunch of times, but we had never gone on an official date. So we went on that official date. We went in, and I was talking to the waiter about potentially a location to have a event, like a ministry event or something like that. And I said, hey, can you show it to me upstairs? And he knew it the whole time, so he was just ready, And so he walked us up and opened up the door, and everybody yelled, surprise.
It was like 70-something people.
And it was like 70-something people there. Her dad was there. Her mom was there. My parents and my sisters were there.
My siblings.
Her siblings were there. Friends, all kinds. It was like 70-something people. And long story short, I ended up proposing that night, and then you said yes, right? And so we started that journey, and 6 months later, we were married. I'm going to pause there because I want to go back to previous episodes, right? In this episode, you talked to me about, authenticity and who I was and all these different things. But previous episodes, it seemed as if that was not who I was, because you said like it was like a mask that like you were like you were punked and all these different things. Can you reconcile that for me? Because there is this guy who was authentic, man of God, and all these different things. But then after we get married and all this stuff turns into turmoil, where does this ripping off of the mask come from? It's like, this is not who I married. Like, can you reconcile that?
I think because we launched our church. We got married, like you said, you proposed. And remember, this was our first date. Now, am I saying the way we did things is right? Absolutely not. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying there probably was some major moments that were missed because we went straight from just kind of this friendship to proposal, right? But even in our previous episodes, we talk about lack of intimacy and not knowing what that looks like. Not sex, but learning how to be into each other, because we also never reached that level in pre-marriage, right? And, you know, a lot of people deal with that with arranged marriages and stuff. They go and just jump into a marriage, right? But I think that is a major part, let's start there, that I feel we missed. And that was just dating and getting to know each other as potential husband, wife, right? Because we went from being engaged to planning a wedding. It wasn't time to get to know my fiance. It wasn't getting time to know who was going to be my husband. We went into planning mode.
Yeah.
And I don't know why we went so quick, but we did.
Yeah,
you know,
we did.
and
I don't know why either.
Yeah, I still don't know the reason why, but we did. And I think that kind of rushed us past kind of getting to know each other on that scale or preparing ourselves to be married.
Yeah, I think because we already knew each other. So
Yeah.
it just is kind of like, what's the point of wasting time?
Right. But not on that level.
Not on that
You
level,
know what I mean? And so we rushed to that. We get married. But here's the thing also that I don't know if we've ever shared. But right when we were preparing to get married, you had released to me, or you had revealed to me, that you were called to pastor. And you would start bringing me along with you to like these ARC sessions, which are pretty much these sessions on planting churches. This is, so we're planning a wedding. And I'm going along with him to go to these sessions that teach you how to plant churches.
Yeah.
It was too much.
Yeah, it was.
And so we go from now we're married to automatically after we're married, we go through a honeymoon, but that was over. Because right after the honeymoon, we go into what?
Yeah,
planning a church.
Planning a church, yeah.
So there was never any space for us or us really getting to know each other on an intimate level. So for me, I felt like a mask was removed because it was like, I think instant stress hit you. And it was like, now I got a whole wife and I'm about to pastor a church. And you got to figure or navigate through all of these things. And so I think the mask from who I thought was the authentic one that I knew became totally different because now you're wearing weight.
So it wasn't necessarily pulling the mask off. It was actually putting weight on.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Yeah. And I also think that to a certain extent, you kind of, shifted yourself a little bit to be more of what I liked, which is what we do. But if you combine that with pressure, then you just expose a totally different person.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because if it's not authentically in you anyway, right, that's definitely going to be the first thing to fall off. And then what then becomes amplified is the insecurities, the inadequacies. All of that gets amplified if it's never dealt with.
Yeah.
And so all of that becomes, like I tell people all the time, what you deal with outside of marriage, it amplifies in marriage. So whether you're covering it up or whether it's exposed, it's going to get uncovered and it's going to amplify when you get married. Because when you get married, the person's home. This is my space now. So you're going to get every part of me. And so I think that every part that was revealed was the stress part, the parts that weren't really you, that you were trying to kind of, I guess, in a way, equate to kind of what I liked and who I was. So that kind of fell off. And then you got the pressure of, I'm a whole husband and I'm trying to be a pastor.
Yep. It was the working out, folks. She really thought that I was a workout guy, and that's because when I started cycling. You did. I started cycling.
You had a whole bike,
and
like
I had bought like an $1,800 bike, and I would go cycling, and then we would go to the gym together sometimes, and very active and stuff like that. But it was.
And you also, one thing I think we didn't mention, you were also towards like kind of closer to leading up to the proposal, you were also like into me. You started showing that too. Like it was stuff like, I remember the Michael Kors watch, right? We walked into Macy's this time. We did do Macy's.
Yeah, we sure did.
We walked into Macy's and I saw a watch and I didn't say anything about the watch. I just kind of lit up. Like in my head, I remember saying, man, that's a nice watch. That's what I said to myself. Next thing, I think like days later, he comes with this gift and it's the actual watch. Yep. But I never verbally said I wanted the watch or I liked it. And I asked him, I said, how did you know I liked that watch? He said, when you saw it, I paid attention to how you lit up.
Yeah. And
that changed when we got married. It was like I was not seen.
Yeah.
There was no romance. There wasn't no surprises. And I'm like, I'm your new wife.
Yeah.
Like, what is happening? So it was a lot of things that immediately shifted when we got married. And I think it was just the weight, the pressure, a lot of things. And so if you put a sum total of all of that together, of course, I'm like, I got bamboozled and pumped because that's not what I saw, you know? But to put a label on it or to reconcile it, I do feel like it was immediate responsibility and heaviness when you should just be getting to know your spouse.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you for clearing that up because I was thinking about that recently. I was like, but if I wasn't the person, then what was the mask if it was, you know, if I was the guy? But I get it now and I understand. And circumstances and things change with people. And then especially when you've not gone through situations before, it changes who you are and who your character is in a sense. Like, you know, they say pressure busts grapes, you know what I'm saying? But it also creates a diamond. You know, and those are the different things, the journeys that when we talk about, like earlier when you were saying about choosing the one and finding the one and this being your person, it is recognizing that there are struggles that you're going to have to deal with. There are issues that can be mounting that you can't see yourself out of that are going to come, and you have to stick with and you have to figure out how you're going to get out. And sometimes even the best idea on how to get out, it still takes time to get out of it. And there still can be residue later about that as well. Like those are the things that we don't talk about in relationships per se. We always talking about, oh yeah, for better, for worse, and all these different things. But there's no time limit on for better, for worse. There's no exit strategy for better, for worse. This is no way of communication for better, for worse. And that's why a lot of people just decide to go and leave, you know. And I'm not saying everybody should remain together. It would be my desire that everybody remains together. But, you know, those are the different things where you can kind of see sometimes when people kind of go through some, what I say, like lighthearted struggles, and they're immediately out the door. I'm sitting here like, well, we're going to see this same thing repeat the next time around.
With your next spouse.
Because you haven't taken the time to figure all of this out. And I think that takes time instead of just saying, oh, this is it. Because what ends up happening a lot of times is people, they have these conversations with friends and cousins and all this stuff, and they get in their ear too. And then they start making that the truth. When you don't need to make that the truth. You need to get before God, and you need to figure out what the truth is, and from there determine if you're going to stick it out or not, you know, from God's perspective. And
I think it's like, it goes back to just, can I get in the mud with this person? Can we fight through together? Like, do I see this person as someone who will fight for me or fight with me? You know what I mean? And a lot of times we look for, and you've mentioned this before, the physical attraction or the financial attraction, or, you know, all of these things that have no foundation and can't fully stand by themselves, right? It could be attributes that we could put together, but they really don't have any weight alone. And it's like, but can I trust that this person will fight with me? Can I trust they will pray with me, or she will pray with me? Can I trust that we can build together? Can I trust that we can overcome challenges together? Because it's not always going to be peaches and cream, you know? And so can I trust that we can literally like grind this thing out together? Can we trust the grace of God together? Like, can we flourish together? And I think, to me, that has made you the one for me, is the consistency behind kind of walking with each other through whatever challenges we've come across. And to be honest with you, did I believe you were the one in the past? Absolutely not at all. And I think even Brian said it earlier. He was like, you know, what's y'all fall in love story? And I was honest, I didn't fall in love with you. And I know that hurt you because I mean, I think we mentioned this in our first podcast when I had to tell the hard truth that I wasn't in love with you. And that was hard for me because Disney don't prepare you for marriage.
Right.
Disney says you're supposed to be holding hands, all in love, and the music plays in the background, and you found your one, and this is everything. But there's no preparation because it's not real. You know, whether you're in love or not, it's not real.
Yeah.
There's no music playing in the background when the wedding's over.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, now we married. What we gonna do?
Yeah.
You know, there's no music playing in the background after the honeymoon. This is it.
Yeah.
You know, where's the music when we're going through our first challenge and obstacle together?
Right.
And so I had to choose love. So it was different for me. Mine wasn't a Hallmark Disney movie. It wasn't just butterflies in my stomach. Oh my gosh, I'm so deeply in love. I had to choose to love you, which caused me to fall in love with you. So mine was different. It wasn't just I'm marrying you because I'm so deeply head over heels. Did I love you? Yes. But was I in love? I guess, you know, is what people call it when you're just like, oh my gosh, I need you to be with me. Like, no, I wasn't there.
Yeah.
You know, but I loved you and I knew you were solid and I knew who you were in God. I knew who you were as a person, you know, or like I say, I thought, you know, but I honestly believe it was my relationship with God that kept me moving forward, even when I felt the mask was revealed.
Yeah.
Because it was like, I had to hear from the Holy Spirit to know, okay, that's still not him. It is the weight he's carrying. It is this new level of responsibility that he's not used to. It is almost like somebody's in a culture shock, like fish out of water, like, oh crap, how do I navigate through all of this?
Yeah. I think even for me, even hearing you say that, it's funny because I think because both of us kind of had the same gripe as this isn't the person, right? That we originally thought each other was. And I think for me, even though you said and you still say like I wasn't head over heels in love with you, I didn't feel that way. Like, and I think it even started even in the beginning of the episode where we were talking about how we even communicated with each other. You're like, well, you know, I never wanted you to go on a date anyway. But for me, I thought you were because you had planned, and we don't have time to talk about it, but you had planned a birthday party for me, right? And then some of our conversations where I felt like in these conversations when we were trying to establish what we were and what we weren't, that you were someone who was actually in love with me, which is why I did propose. If I had not felt that you were in love with me, I wouldn't have proposed. But I thought you did just based off of, you know, from what actions that I had perceived from you. And then when I went and I told some of your friends, they were all elated and happy. They were like, okay, let's go. You know what I mean? So if they were co-signing, then that must have meant that maybe you were in love with me somewhere, you know what I'm saying? Or else your friends would have been like, okay, hold on, bro. Like, y'all need to work something out before you do that. But that's not what I got. You know what I mean? So I think from my perspective, it was. And so that's why it was so shocking for me when we were in therapy, which we can talk about on our next episode, is finding out and hearing that you were not in love with me and that you were not ever, you know, or not falling head over heels in how we were able to reconcile that. So I think that's a good setup for the next episode.
Yeah. And I think that's, again, why when you're dating or going through a relationship, communication is key. We also never really talked about us.
Right.
I think that is also a missing link that we kind of encountered. We never talked about us. I think that's always something people used to run from back in the day. It's like as soon as you start talking relationship, oh no, they run because I don't want that obligation. I don't want you to start expecting nothing, you know. And we never talked about us because anytime we would bring us up, it would be like, nah, we friends, you know. But those discussions needed to be had so we can see where each other actually are. because I did love you, but I wasn't, just like, oh my gosh, and I know sometimes that may still hurt, but you got to know that I'm in love with you now. So that's all that matters.
Yeah. No, it don't hurt anymore. It did for a while.
It did.
Yeah, no, it don't hurt no more.
Yeah, but I am, but I think I was young, healing from a lot of stuff too, and just didn't know how to even navigate my own feelings.
Yeah.
It was a lot that we dealt with it, like when we started, kind of knowing each other. Our origin story is a little different.
Yeah.
It was a lot we dealt with. And it's a lot that sometimes I used to wish we could go back and redo, but where we are now, I don't, because I love where we are now. And I don't know if that's the process we had to take. I don't know if it was, or it could just be God's grace to put us on path of where we were originally supposed to be. So,
amen.
Yeah.
Well, I'm hungry.
You always hungry at the end of the episode.
I'm hungry. So we're going to call this one an episode. And we want to thank you all for joining us again for another amazing podcast. And we're going to dig a little bit deeper and look forward in a couple of weeks as well. Got some guests coming on. They're going to try to get some more guests as well.
Absolutely.
So even if, maybe you might be a guest, right? So let us know. Let us know in the community. Shoot us some DMs.
Your story.
Yeah, let us know your
questions.
story.
Yeah.
Questions. And we actually might invite you to be on our episode. So thank you all as well for choosing each other. And thank you for choosing to listen to us as we are the hosts of We Chose Us podcast. Thank you. And y'all have a good one.
Bye.
Love is beautiful, but let's be real, it ain't always easy. We've been through the storms, the highs, the lows, and everything in between.
But through it all, we made a choice again and again. We chose love, we chose commitment, we chose us.
Because marriage isn't just about saying I do, it's about choosing to stay.
Welcome to We Chose Us, because love is worth the fight.